Good evening, Dr. Reimer. It's Craig Sinclair. Um, so, on the participation journal, the one trait of grit I want to expound on, elaborate on, was purpose. I chose this particular trait because, again, to still be here after my decision making, my past decision making, my choices, poor choices, and lifestyle that I live, to still be here would be here for a reason, right? And that would be to share my experience, strength, and hope with those who are still in active addiction, and still people who make poor choices, and don't realize that they have the choice, right, to change um, the trajectory of their life, right? They don't have to uh, still doing what they're doing. A lot of these things are what they come out of habit, right? It's just muscle memory, and it's what we're just known to do. Okay, I just wanted to check my time real quick. Just moving on, my takeaway was the hard thing rule, right? I like that hard thing rule where you pick something that's difficult and you can't quit in the middle of it. You have to see it through. With that for myself was making my meetings, right? Not making the meetings to where I had to get up, I had to leave my house. I couldn't just go on Zoom, make a Zoom meeting. I had to get up, leave my house, get dressed, make the meeting, sit for an hour and a half, the whole 90 minutes, and then again take notes, ask questions, meet people, get phone numbers and things, and such. It wasn't in the beginning, I couldn't make it so convenient. I want to touch on what surprised me the most was the intensity versus consistency, and this is something that I've dealt with in my past. Just dealing with relationships where a lot of my relationships, they would ask me to be, if I could just be consistent, right? So with me, I was always intense. It was always romantic. It was like big gestures, big grand gestures. And to keep that type of energy, I wasn't able to sustain that type of energy, right? It was like a lightning. Lightning lasts 2 seconds and it's over, right? They say that if a star, the brighter the star lasts half the time, right? So, just with that intensity piece, where I realized again that I didn't have to, in my recovery in my life now, I don't have to be intense. It's just those small wins, the little gestures, the small things that add up over time, would lead to victory. It's not about making an impact, a sudden impact, right? That was definitely. I'm glad that they mentioned that, and just reconfirms rather what I've been feeling and what I've been thinking. So that was a takeaway with that, and what surprised me rather. And then the 10,000 hour rule is actually something, and I have literature on that I got from English, and it was just how English comes together with psychology, and talked about the 10,000 hour rule. I was actually surprised to see that in there, where it helps me understand my behavior and my success, because again, making those meetings, um, sharing my experience, strength of hope, going to different meetings, meeting different people, and doing that practice pattern of behavior. Again, not perfect, practice, right? And I'm successful at it. I'm celebrating the small wins, the small victories, from just hours. And again, it starts from the moment, right? That first moment that turns into a day, and then turns into a lifestyle choice. Okay, these things that I brought to my attention, where it's just the small bricks over time will build the house, will build the structure. You know, so again, that this was a takeaway that I decided to discuss because it focuses on the preparation, the practice, and rather than getting attached to the outcome, right? Because outcome has nothing to do with intent, right? So, with that in mind, it was, how can I practice on my preparation, or prepare to practice, right? Perfect practice and preparation leads to great performance, as opposed to, oh, how am I going to look at the end? What's the outcome going to be? Where's the glory, right? And chasing that victory, chasing that winner's circle, where that's not the That's not the prize. The prize is to really understand the process, and it's step by step, right? So it's being in a 12-step program. It's a step by step. It's not the end and work backwards. It's no, from the beginning, it's step by step. So that again, just resonated with me. And again, it was an interesting video. She talked about, and just real quick, I want to touch on, checking my time. Yeah, time goes so fast. I want to touch on when she said to be interested, right? And I kind of just looked at that to say, well, there's curious, there's interested, and then there's obsession, right? And people, I believe, who are interested watch the people who are obsessed change the world. People, come with their algorithms and such, and their programs, and again, I digress. I'm sorry. That was just something I just want to mention. So I see this, just really checking my notes real quick. So my final takeaway, I decided to discuss because of the focus on the preparation part, and I see this in my sobriety. When I celebrate those small victories, like I said, and I'm being an active participant in my own recovery, right? Showing up for myself, so that was definitely a takeaway of mine. Okay, it's taking my time now. All right, so again, thank you, and it's good to see you again, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you much. Have a great evening. Bye.